paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. We are kicking off February 2023, and we have a crew here tonight. We're going to keep the rotating list going. I've got myself here. We've got Douglas DJ Johnson. We've got Jason back, and we brought on the editor, JJ, from the background. Welcome back, everybody, to the show. Glad to have you here. I see Jason with a quiet pour this week.
I don't know why it's quiet.
I just didn't hear a psh, you know?
It wasn't my decision for it to be a quiet pour.
Can you turn that in, JJ, can you turn that into an anime pour? I don't know what that means, but I just want it to happen.
Anime pour?
Yeah.
That like
Sure.
I don't think I don't want to know. But welcome
Even
into
if
the
it's
show,
just adding
everybody.
a kia when he pours it, like that's fine.
Yeah. JJ, here's the truth. We brought you here for a particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing as how Hasbro, owners of Wizards of the Coast and therefore Magic, are laying off 15% of their workforce, we're not immune to the layoffs.
This is how it happens.
Define we.
JJ. Yeah, specifically JJ. But that's what we're going to talk about.
It's been a good
this
run.
week. It's been,
Has it?
yeah.
Still,
Oh,
Has it?
At what point? At what point was it a good run?
Dude, if anything, there was never...
the part where Corbin hit a light pole, that was a good part of the run.
I was going to say, it's unlikely there was ever a run. A stumble, maybe, but never a run. Yeah, but a leisure, but a little more leisure would probably be good for the country because despite Hasbro making an operating profit of $194 million in 2022, they're laying off 15% of their workforce. Along with every other tech company and every other gaming company and basically anything in today's world, you're
Normal
getting
and
preemptive layoffs.
Hey, from the people who brought you nobody wants to work anymore, it's nobody come to work on Monday.
They got all those quiet quitters, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen preemptive layoffs like this. Usually you have to be in a recession and companies have to start losing money.
They
and then
100%
they lay people
know
off.
there's going to be a recession.
But they're going to cause a recession.
I mean,
Eggs are $15 a
Corbin-
dozen now. I might want to fucking...
Corbin,
get into
I was going to
chicken
make a
finance.
chicken and egg comparison, but I can't afford an egg.
That's a good point, man. Eggs are expensive.
I mean,
Marianne, my wife saw something that was like, if you made $40,000 a year in 2017, and today you got a raise to $45,000, your purchasing power is equivalent to $37,000 in 2017. So you could have made a lot more money than you did 5 years ago and still be making less because that's where we're at with the economy. And all these companies laying people off, they're all making a lot of money. So take
If
that
we
for
raise
what you will.
wages, prices will go up.
Mm.
Also, prices are going up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I don't know. We know that Magic in the past has been they've called it a recession-proof hobby, and we don't know if these Hasbro layoffs are going to come down to Wizards because Wizards did have their most profitable year ever, right? Hasbro is suffering from the Toys R Us closure. They're suffering from the continued pressure of online. They're suffering from not having Transformers be 2012 anymore. Like, it's a whole bunch of things happening on the Hasbro side of things that have very little to do with Magic. But it's probably not very good for Magic, and this does come right on the heels of the entire D&D debacle.
yeah, that was not particularly good for them. But
Yeah, JJ, you want to break that down for people real quick? Because we can talk about whether or not we think it mattered to them.
so, I mean, I don't think it mattered to this. So what happened, for whatever it's worth, since it's tied to WotC, They went to update so they have an open gaming license that allowed that in 2000, when there were other gaming systems catching speed to D&D, they decided they didn't want to be the sole printer and distributor for content for the game. So they decided to farm that out to others through an open gaming license, which allowed things like TRS, Turtle Rock Studios, and Cobalt Press, and a bunch of other big publishing companies who had kind of sort of made D&D content, but they couldn't use the terminology. Now they can just straight up say, this is your charisma, this is your strength, here's what a D&D stat block for this character looks like.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that like they just had to swap, like, we're playing lizards in basements, guys. It's not.
Yeah,
there's no dungeons. There's no dragons.
Yeah.
If you listen to the people who were very concerned by the OGL thing, that what they would have had to do, because it was going to be taking money from people who made $250,000 and all this stuff.
Yeah, the actual money I think that aspect in a lot of ways was overblown. It's the headline grabbing thing, right? They're going to take 25% of your profit. But because it mattered to such a small number of people, I don't think that was the huge aspect. The huge aspect that I was concerned about for the community was the idea that you no longer owned your material if you printed it out under the OGL, which, to Wizards' credit, they did change, but on their very first iteration of changing things, that they were no longer going to own the ability to reprint and distribute your content or co-opt it into their stuff.
So that sounds super reasonable, right? From you're saying that it's super reasonable to be upset about that.
Yeah.
At the same time, League of Legends and Dota, look at what happened with Dota.
Mm-hmm.
For people who don't know, Dota was a mod, a custom map that the community made on the Warcraft 3 game. Blizzard decided that they owned it. And then it turns out there's a big court thing, a bunch of people left, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden you have Valve making Dota 2, and Blizzard making Heroes of the Storm because they lost the case or whatever and couldn't just straight up take Dota and call it Blizzard. Like, that's sort of the backstory to that. So this is not the first time we've seen something like this come about in the game.
And protecting your IP is important, but like if you for 20 plus years decide to operate under an open gaming license where you basically say, hey, we're worried that people are going to leave our game system, so instead we're going to say you all can make content for it. So we're not the only people making content for it. And then they build off of that idea. Then you go 20 years later and take it away from them. That breaks a lot of trust.
It sounds like there's another OGL old gaming list that this might have a corollary to.
Yeah,
I don't know what it might be though. I think there's like a weird Pokemon list or something, or like the One Piece card game is like. I don't know. Who can say it? Really? Like, who can fact check?
I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one.
Yeah, there was a lot of. It was humorous to me because the amount of articles I read on this that uses the phrase "promissory estoppel" just made me go, "Oh." But
yep.
The interesting thing is because D&D is such a nerdy hobby and it's so expansive, you had a lot of lawyers in this specific area of copyright law who this affected, who decided to go real deep on what it meant.
Well, and because the people who originally wrote it at Wizards
are no longer there.
No longer there, but they wrote it to be forever. They literally tried to prevent what happened from happening. So maybe they did a good enough job that the Hasbro didn't think they had a case to push it, or just wasn't worth it because of the boycott. I don't know. Do you think that anything? I mean, this is really, if you look at what made them change course, it was the boycott of D&D Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that we were ever going to get that in Magic. There's people who don't boycott sets, and if they do, it doesn't change.
Absolutely not.
Oh well, I think this goes back to like the cause and effect in Magic is a lot slower, right? Like you can get really mad at Wizards for whatever reason, but like your anger with them doesn't affect them until you stop purchasing new product that's being printed.
Yes,
and
I have
enough for that to affect their revenue.
I have had so many people of like the I am mad with Wizards, I'm selling out of the game conversation. I've had that conversation so many times in the past year. I mean, I've also had the I'm getting into Magic, I'm new to Magic, I own a Transformer card now, this is cool, EDH, here we go. I've had that conversation a lot, but like, yeah, you're absolutely right that the people phasing out of Magic, like that doesn't hit Wizards' bottom line until like a year or two from now. They don't see that graph yet.
Right, but
compared
that's
to like a
also
subscription cancel.
That's the scary thing to me about Magic, right? Like when we talk about people having product fatigue potentially and like people being done with the game because they just can't follow it all potentially, like I don't know how you measure that metric until you're too far gone to pull it back.
Well, they've measured it by like having so many new players, though. I think that's the kick. Is that like it's? I don't think that Magic is dying. I think that the demographic is significantly changing.
Yeah, I mean that's entirely possible, and maybe WotC's taking that as a calculated change in their approach to it. I mean, we've seen them take a change.
Yeah, I can tell you that Wizards typically takes a the line I'll use is what's the actual effect of that? When you tell them like when it's on the internet's mad about this, okay, well what's the actual effect?
Right.
And then they go look at their numbers and see how much money they made. Doing what they're doing.
But the thing is, profit is
I understand.
And WotC is smart enough to know this. Profit is not simply a how much money did we get, because you can squeeze a lot of money out of people before they just get exhausted and leave.
Mm-hmm. They'll be back.
Probably.
I think that's the business, frankly. Get people, they're in it for a while, they leave, they come back when something new excites. But yeah, and that's that. We don't need to spend all day on that, but we did want to touch on we'll see what happens. I will tell you that I've watched layoffs at Wizards over the past 5 years as they've restructured countless times. So if I'm going to be disappointed if there's another round of layoffs when Hasbro is cash positive, much less Wizards.
Right.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. Pro Tour next month though, MagicCon Philly, maybe it'll be awesome.
Well, it'll be in the charred remains of Philly.
I'm excited to be in that city during that week. I am very excited.
What did I miss?
The Super Bowl, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. If they win...
Oh, the cars in the streets are done
if
for.
They win, people are going to march from Arizona to Philadelphia and throw batteries at Santa Claus.
Uh-huh. That's what they do.
Philadelphia tradition.
That's what they do, man.
I was listening to a Dollop episode a while back about Philly sports fans, and the one that resonates with me most is somebody's prosthetic leg got stolen off of their body.
Uh-huh.
Like a guy was leaving the game in a wheelchair, and a drunk college woman ran up, just grabbed a leg, and took off.
Dude, Philadelphia is literally famous for having, like, full fans. Like, right. Boston has racist fans, and Philadelphia has... That's all I know about those two fans.
Which is why, like, I can only imagine what the city will be like if they win.
Yeah.
Or if they lose tragically. If they
man?
lose in, like, a crazy, the refs blew this call kind of way, woo. It'll be fun.
Like every football game this year. Anyway, we're not going to talk about football. What we are going to talk about is it's the return of the best financial segment in all of it. Coincidentally, it also happens to be the segment in which I remain an undisputed champion.
Dispute? I would like to submit one dispute, please.
Nope. As the mayor of fair, I say that I am being very fair on this, and that I am the undisputed champion. And that is why it's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
And I'm going to start things off because I have a card that I love that I bet none of you have ever even played against, but it is on the buy list. I checked. It is a green Modern Horizons 2 Uncommon.
Any reprintings?
Nope.
What's that?
Modern Horizons 2.
Green
This card's very
uncommon?
good on a ring. It's not expensive, but it is on the buy list. And it's 50 cents.
Corbin says the buy list like my mom says the Facebook, okay? Like, can we talk about that?
The buy list is card key. That's what we use here.
What about Abundant Harvest?
No.
I thought I was gonna guess that, but I think that's common, right?
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah.
And it had other printings.
Yeah. The strict
Yeah, this
standard.
has no other printings. It's got some art series.
It's got to be a weird mashup of. It's like a mashup of two mechanics, probably. It's like some card that has like flashback and like Dredge 7 or something.
I'll tell you this: it does have It has one mechanic.
Is it a creature?
It is.
Well, that really helps.
It's a tree folk. Does that help?
No.
I remain undefeated.
Maybe. Does it have Hideaway?
Nope. Look, we can't. It's fine. It's fine to not be the best. It's fine to just be good, but not. We can't all be Patrick Mahomes. Keep the football references going. Sometimes you're Joe Burrow, and sometimes
Wait.
you're. Sometimes you're not even.
Did you see Modern Horizons 1 or 2?
do?
It's either Timeless Witness or Tireless Provisioner, right?
Oh, the Eternalize. No?
Really?
Nope.
What other uncommons were even in that set?
I'm not
I'm
allowed to
gonna
guess
tell
any.
you.
Stuff was
Oh,
uncommon.
I'm
wait.
going
No,
to-
it's the. You said it's the Tree Folk, so it's the
Oh, it's a
squirrel. It's the squirrel thing.
JJ cheated.
You even told us it was a tree folk. He
It is
cheated by
cheap.
remembering that.
JJ cheated.
I don't know
answer
its
is-
name, but it makes
the answer-
sense.
Scurry Oak.
It is Scurry Oak. Yes, it
Did
has
you pick
evolved.
Scurry Oak recently?
I don't think so. Yes, I think we're good on Scurry. I picked it today. It's 50 cents. It's actually headed up. It's on the buy list. So this combo's in historic at least, which means it might end up being a combo, modern or whatever. Whenever one or more counters are put on it, you can create a squirrel, and it has evolved. So the sweet little card.
Oh, it combos with Heliod.
Yep.
The game.
That sounds like the one. Yep.
I have
All
a
right.
Commander 2017 green uncommon. I've picked green cards for the past month, and that's because I had just I braked a bulk of green commons, and then I just set
Breakable.
7 of them on my desk. I was like, I am stocked I'm hibernating these for the winter. Just have a nice little pile of specifically green uncommons that I've been churning through for the past month and a half.
For C17,
It's a what? Green what?
Uncommon.
Jason, what is
C17
this?
was the cats and dragons.
That's what I was
shit?
going to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah, what was in C17? Some
I
kind
don't
of
think it has
uncommon?
reprints.
some kind of overrun.
Uncommon. It does not have a single reprint. It is. Oh no, it has one reprint. Never mind. I'm looking at the reprint, but it's a bullshit reprint, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
It's a
The
reprint
list.
that you wouldn't think of, right?
It's
A
the
green
list.
uncommon. Is it the curse?
It is the Curse of Bounty.
Oh, that one's cool.
Curse of Bounty is like $2. It was reprinted in starter commander decks, which is why it's not. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
But it is $2. The starter commander deck one is like 50 cents, but it's still good. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, untap all non-land permanents you control. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So it's like a Seedborn Musey kind of thing.
it gives all
2
your
mana.
creatures the ability to do things multiple times.
And it's only
Alright.
available on a $250 pre-con.
Pretty
Holy
much, yeah.
shit! Is it really that much?
The Cats and Dragons ones are both very expensive, yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
On the basis of a new card from the new set. I don't know what that set's called. I took a couple weeks off Magic and I missed a couple of releases.
You did.
This is an uncommon from Rise of the Eldrazi.
What
Uncommon
color?
Rise of the Eldrazi.
What color?
Rise of the Eldrazi.
Not of this world.
No,
That's a good guess,
Not-
though.
not of that. Not
Not-
correct.
Is it the Path Eraser of Kozilek? Pathfinder?
Skittering Invasion?
This card is predicated on Graz Unstoppable Juggernaut. Skittering Invasion makes 25 power worth of creatures for 7 mana.
Is in fact a lot.
pretty good.
I was feeling good with my guess. I thought I was going to.
Katamari Damacy has probably got too many printings to be in play, but this is a $1.50 card already. Card Kingdom wants $2.30 for this, which means they probably want to pay you 75 cents for yours. So even if this doesn't go up as a result of Graz Unstoppable Juggernaut, because we're getting 70 more legendary creatures in a couple of weeks, Skittering Invasion is still worth pulling out of your bulk and getting whatever Card Kingdom wants to give you for it. Some other stuff from that ilk is From Beyond, which never quite got to Awakening Zone prices until I reprinted Awakening Zone a bunch. I don't know what else makes those tokens. Stuff, just stuff.
That block was
that deck
rough,
is going to be
honestly.
colorless, so you're going to need stuff like Not of This World that does Warping Whale. You're going to need that kind of junk. Warping Whale is another $2 card, so I don't know, man. ROE stuff's real old. Doesn't seem that way to me, but it was before we started this podcast, so
It's pretty old. I just looked up From Beyond because you mentioned it. That just makes me really sad. Right? Like, that card is near bulk.
Yeah.
I said it was like a little better Awakening Zone, and apparently,
I mean, Awakening Zone has also gone down in price.
well, Awakening Zone's
with
got
some
how many
reprints.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is From Beyond just like too slow in Commander?
I don't know why people don't use it.
But it makes so much of a better token. Like a 1/1 versus a 0/1.
I mean, it tutors. It tutors. All right, next Eldrazi set. It'll come back.
But Green Eldra, I don't know, man.
You mean the set after?
What is this?
whenever the Phyrexian
A
story
7-week period in Modern where everyone was like, "Oh, we need Brushlands."
You're right.
Remember, Brushland was like $15 because everyone's like,
Well,
"Oh man,
and then there
we
was
need to
a-
make actual colorless mana for this
Yeah.
deck."
There was a really hot minute where people were playing Eldrazi Obligator, which is red, and playing Carplusan Forest.
Yep.
In Modern,
Mhm.
those
And that
were some.
Or the
Battlefield Forge. Well,
the
Eldrazi
blue
Displacer.
white one was real popular because of Displacer blinking the herder.
A Dark
And
Artways.
using that, yeah.
Well, that's because Bant Eldrazi was like actually the Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Even though colorless Eldrazi was actually the everyone. Pro Toro through the Gatewatch when it all went crazy.
Wait, Corbin, there's a Pro Tour?
I swear to God. The week that was, people, every Friday, magic.gg. Go read. There's so much cool content.
There
You
really
want-
is. There's no reason.
JJ,
you
tell us
shouldn't
about it,
do it.
JJ. Tell us about it, JJ.
Well, what I will
JJ
tell-
about made me go off before this podcast.
a solid 20 minutes.
A solid 20-minute rant where everyone's like, we don't read your columns, Corbin.
There's a Pro Tour?
There's a Pro Tour? Get out of here, man. All right, JJ, what's your breaking bolt?
So it is a white uncommon from Cons with one
Brave the
reprinting.
Sands.
Yeah. So the reason I'm bringing this up is not because it's particularly hard. Brave the Sands has actually been a pick for a pretty long time.
Forever. That card's been a pick
Right.
forever.
Card's fun.
It's been like hovering around 50 cents since like Dominaria. But it has spiked up quite a bit. It is now sitting like TCG market at like $2.25 per copy for the original Cons printing. And I think slightly more for the Commander version.
This is a very good example of what I like to call a therapy card. It sort of helps people get over their fears and like teaches them how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very low level Commander games and just gaming in general, people tend to be afraid to attack in multiplayer because they're afraid they will get attacked. And Brave the Sands is just a nice little like comfort blanket of, okay, if I attack, I won't get attacked back, and if I do, I have extra resources to deal with it. So it's just a card that a lot of players will like buy, put in their deck, and then take out later. And it's like a little training wheels of a card, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get so many DMs from people who are like, I play Brave the Sands as CEDH. This card's incredible in my Brea Angels. What are you talking about, DJ? I would never cut it for the life of me.
DJ CEDH is having a moment.
Mm-hmm. It is having a moment. That's
And then
for
that
sure.
moment will be over because all games end on turn 2, right?
I think the reason that this popped up, and this is my theory. Jason probably has a better idea about this than I do, but like, from the Street Fighter Secret Lair, the 100-handed one, like the Street Fighter Secret Lair came out, and Brave the Sands didn't see a lot of movement, but then the Universes Within copy started getting in collector's boosters, and I think when people who didn't already buy the Street Fighter versions from the Secret Lair started getting this card and going, oh, this is really cool. I can build this white commander. And that's the only correlation, because like, other than that, there haven't been any new commanders I've noticed that are like, oh, well, we must have Brave the Sands in our deck.
It's hard to know. I think shit has to be real obvious, and the real obvious stuff is the stuff that was new printed alongside the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Every precon has enough support to just play the deck as your deck at this point, so no one's really buying old stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I still sell, like, I sold so many Skithrixes and Atraxes and Maliras this past month, though. Like, that stuff moves because it's just...
Well, anything that
again, like you said, it's
interacts with-
obvious. It's stuff that is, like, poison with poison? Duh!
Yeah.
Yep.
Seeing Atraxa's having a moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's like reselling, like the original Atraxa has just been weirdly popping off, and including the reprint.
I sold,
like,
I have there's a little holiday I like to call Oversized Card Day on TCGPlayer. And that's the day when, like, that card gets some views, whether it's Sliver Queen or the Ur-Dragon or Edgar Markov or whatever. And then I sell all my oversized cards of that card. And then I get a message a week later saying, but this won't fit in a sleeve. I'm trying to jam it in the sleeve, and it's not
You
going.
tell them they have the wrong sleeves.
I'm putting the square in the circle hole. It's not going.
They gotta buy the right sleeves, man.
That's what. Do you link them to like the oversized hard case that they make?
Somebody sold me an entire Plane Chase deck once, and if you all remember Plane Chase, where you basically
And they were sleeved?
and they were sleeved, but they were sleeved in those basically the folders on the, like, where you put your insurance card in your car, so it's just clear on the front. It's I don't even know what you would call it, but like they had 100 of those or whatever, and they shuffle really well, you guys.
That's awesome. Good for them.
I have it in a box somewhere. That was like we played Plane Chase a lot for a hot
I love
minute.
that.
So much.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly entertaining way to play quick commander, because those enchantments will just like hose somebody or randomly boon somebody, and it's just, I love it. I mean, the only time I've played them is with yours, back in Oklahoma City, but I think it's fun as a way to like break up if you're in the same play group over and over again. It's kind of feeling a little stale. It's a good way to just change things for a little bit, and it can also be a good way to power level adjust the table. Like, somebody has a crazy good deck and you're still playing with some newer people who aren't on that power level of decks.
We should make it more complicated. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's do the Blind Eternities variant where you lay them all out on the table in a direction. Go back to ones you've been.
Yeah, that'll make the game easier.
And faster, for sure. That's what we should
Yeah.
do. Wait. I won't lie though, I'm kind of excited about the new Infect. Jason, what are you looking at commander wise from Phyrexia?
From the new set?
Yeah. Like what are you seeing? What are you seeing hype about? What are you writing about?
Well, people are playing Elish Norn, which is just boring Blink stuff. Like, all the stuff in the Elish Norn deck has been in the last two Blink decks. There's been one a set, so like there's nothing new. Graz Unstoppable Juggernaut's going to make people want to make tokens, but colorlessly. So that's going to be real weird. Karamax the Rat King, I kind of like, but again, they reprint like Ogre Slumlord so often that, you know, it can't be worth any money. Like, the most expensive rat card right now is like Pack Rat at $2.
I was gonna say it might be
I think Rat Colony is like
it might be Rat
4
Colony.
or 5 now. It's insane.
Yeah, we looked that one up.
Yeah,
a
Rat
few
Colony
weeks
is
ago.
4 or 5, which is great. You
It's
know,
wild. Yeah.
Well, that was a good set, so it's fine to have a reason to open booster packs of that. But like, if you get your $15 Marinaur like years ago and it was $5, a Rad's deck just kind of puts itself together. You know, like they've reprinted all of the stuff so much, it's really hard for anything to get there. The Enigma Goliath. It's the thing is, we've had so many legendary creatures that nothing's new anymore, so it's sort of like, oh, okay, well, people are doing this, but they already did this and it didn't do anything to the price. So,
well, and when it is new, it's like you said, it's so obvious. Like the Mirror Legendary, it's like, I hope you had Mirror Turbines in your backstock kind of thing. There's no way to like go buy Mirror Turbines in response to that. Really, you have to be like within like in a few hours.
What I've noticed in the last year or two is the people buy when they see these commanders spoiled is the same stuff they would have bought if they saw the name spoiled. Like you don't even need the text on the card to figure out what to buy anymore. It's just like, and if it's in a pre-con, it's like, oh, 3 of the cards, the 5 cards you thought would be good specs are reprinted in this deck. So
right, and then
you
the other
have
part
to
of
wait.
And all the other cards are good.
You're not gonna get on anything early.
Well, it's not like
it's just EDH specking isn't like it used to be, because sure, more people are playing, but like there's so many decks that just it's hard to get a consensus.
Several years ago, the precons required a lot more replacements than they do in the year 2023. So you just naturally had more people going, well, this card just sucks. Time to go buy something. Now it's like, and the Warhammer ones are, I guess, my go-to example, where it's like even sort of the normal effect card, right? Oh, sure, I've seen it. They're just good. Like they're just at the upper bound of whatever the effect.
Those Warhammer decks have turned out to be wonderful financial things. Like it just random cards in them keep popping off and going up.
They're going to.
Yeah. Well, they pumped the gas. They made a lot of those cards really good, and then they did that to justify charging more for the decks. But now you can't get the decks at retail, and the singles are nuts, and it's just I don't know. They're like, it's Warhammer. If you didn't think that we were going to have a bunch of scarcity and high prices, like the people who play 40K are like, it's fine, we're used to this. At least I don't have to paint the card myself. But the rest of us are kind of like, what are you doing? $100 for a mono black deck that has 5 $10 cards in it. All right.
Is Warhammer the most profitable tabletop game in history? Because I gotta say, like, making magic cards and loot boxes is really good, but 3D printing miniatures and then selling the paint as well, that's a pretty good racket.
They sell the paint.
To be fair, the paint's normally sold by other companies.
Whatever, man.
Games Workshop has
it's a duopoly, not a monopoly.
Stuff, yeah. I'm just saying, like, they're the only company whose cost of materials has gotten significantly cheaper in the past decade. That's actually kind of...
Yeah, they don't even need to do dyes anymore. They can just literally do 3D printing.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of new commanders, though, I want to build the Corrupted Abzan deck. Ixhel, Scion of Atraxa. It's a 4-mana 2/5 flying vigilance toxic 2. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters exiles the top card of the library face down. You can play them forever with any color. Play, not just cast, so you can actually play the land.
I mean, that's my kind of card, but I think poison is...
I have a hot take on this, Corbin.
Dumb.
It is kind of dumb. That's why I asked.
I think this card is great for people like Cass who play Commander. I think this card is terrible for people like you.
What does that mean?
So Cass can sit there with a win in hand and go, I'm going to just play the fun thing and do the fun thing. Like that's her Commander philosophy. Whereas you have a Commander philosophy of you build your deck as at a lower power level, but you always play to win. And I don't think you can play a poison infect a deck like that and people not get really annoyed with you.
Because I understand everything you're saying, even if I don't like it.
Like, because
I wouldn't call. The only thing I would say is I would not call it a Commander philosophy.
Corbin,
I'd call it a life philosophy.
Would you say that your feelings are not rational, but they are valid?
Yes.
Can we talk about how Urtet Remnant of Memnarch has nothing to do with Memnarch?
I think the box on its back is the Mirari, is where we settled on.
What?
Okay.
It still makes me sad that there's not like
What is
some
this card?
kind of like nod to Mimnarch.
Oh, this is the mirror.
Yeah,
It
like
should-
the
it should-
package it's carrying on its back. I think we decided that was the Mirari, which is the
No,
remnant.
it should be like stealing something like Mimnarch did. Right? Isn't that what Mimnarch did?
Yeah, Memnarch made stuff, artifacts, and then stole artifacts. It was rad.
Yes.
Dude, that's one of those cards that
Like,
I saw someone make a medium list of this the other day, and I was like, this is an interesting content topic. Like, commander cards that used to be staples and you'll never see at a table.
Oh, yeah. And Wizards is still doing premium foil versions of them 2 years too.
Yeah.
That's right. Like, Mimnarch
Oh
is
boy,
a good example.
duplicants. The thanks.
Duplicate, yes.
So,
Mind's eye, Jason.
Can't go
mind's
anywhere
eye.
without my mind's eye.
Cass might be really mad at me for this, but I'm gonna unveil the curtain behind a super tech GP buyer secret, and
Uh-huh.
the way to have somebody sell you all of their cards is to point to something in their binder and say, "Man, remember when that used to be playable?" And then their binder is yours.
Because they start talking.
Well, like it just opens the floodgates of like realization of like, oh my god, my cards are from 10 years ago.
They
And
all
so you
talk
like
now.
put Solemn Simulacrum in the dime bin, which is where it belongs. I'm not like lowballing people, but like
Oof.
just it just breaks that mental barrier down and like lets people understand like, yeah, man, Reese the Redeemed is like actually $2. Remember when it was 70? And then they're like, yeah,
Holy shit, bro. Solemn's a buck.
yeah.
Solemn Simulacrum is not a playable Magic card in 2023. I'm sorry to break it to you.
I don't
Not-
agree with you.
I mean, I think it's playable, but it has to be in a very specific kind of deck
No, it
now.
doesn't. It doesn't belong in every deck. But
I think
it
if you're
belongs
a
in a lot.
Blink deck, Artifact Synergy.
Well,
deck,
we're
it
content
goes
creators.
in
We
still.
speak in absolute zeros here. It's either a 1
Yeah.
or a 0.
Yeah.
Good point.
First of all, hot take or no take. Those
Yeah.
are the only way you
Hot
can
take or
your
no
life.
take? That's a good one.
It's in a mere 35,000 decks right now, so
A lot.
Yeah, but how many of those
That's a lot
decks
of
are still
precons,
played?
right? Or wait, does EDH Rick have does that take into account precons or no?
Only if
Take into
people
account how-
uploaded them. Only if people would have uploaded.
I see.
Which, I mean, to be fair, some people do, right?
I have a feeling a lot of people
cards.
upload their precons.
I mean, it was in
And you're not
9,000
gonna-
decks this week. Was it in any precons that were printed in the last month?
Yeah, I gotta say,
Maybe.
I think Solemn's perfectly fine. It doesn't go in every deck anymore.
Tell us in the comments whether or not Solemn
That's
Simulacrum
true.
is unplayable or not.
Tell us in the
That's true.
comments whether you think Solemn Simulacrum or Commander Sphere got put in more decks this week.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Spoiler at the end.
Start arguing in the comments. Start a feud. Find an mortal enemy in your local comment section.
Wait, somebody said something mean to me in the comments the other day. I didn't like it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more Magic here. Up is down. It's raining dogs and whatever the quote is from Ghostbusters. The point is, we've seen this before. Things are going down. Yet again, they are trying to unionize the staff pirate ship headquarters. Is there anything to see here? In the past, TCGPlayer made concessions. They were able to prevent a union, but card kingdoms unionized.
Corbin, I think the terminology is bust there.
They
and, like,
busted the union.
You just said Ghostbusters, so like you had such a softball. You could have said
Union busted makes me feel good was right there.
yeah, like I.
Well, I'm more of the I don't know, I'm the setup man. One of you all got to come in and knock it out of the park, you know, like lob it up. And
I want to see you pitch just one. I want to see you perform an athletic activity.
Me?
I don't think you can pitch.
I have multiple things to tell you. Right. One, I played baseball for years. Played baseball in high school. Two, I was the baseball throw champ in grade school.
I'm
At the track
big
meet.
3-year Letterman energy right now. Keep going.
At the grade school, Catholic grade school track meet with all the schools.
Next
Before
season,
we were old enough to have like a shot put.
And then
They
we're
did
gonna
a-
get to my middle school career. And let
Yeah.
me tell
They did
you.
Listen, they did a baseball throw in grade school and middle school. I was the furthest baseball thrower in the city. So you want to see me pitch? I'm ready. Take me to the field, coach. Put me in.
You talking about how you throw the farthest and not the most accurate or the fastest just has some real Coors is the coldest beer there is energy. How
Really?
does it taste? It's cold.
And the mountains are blue, man. Look,
Hey, how fast is your fastball? Really far.
we're going. Look, I think I can do it.
Hey,
I
Little
did the-
Caesars, is your pizza good? It's hot and it's ready.
And it's ready.
I'm gonna go.
And we know you'll come back with an AK-47 if it's not both of those things.
I'm gonna go find somewhere to pitch. I'm gonna record it. We're getting snowed on right now, but when the snow's gone and it's warmer, I'm gonna go show off the baseball skill. And
Yeah,
I
I
can
bet you
see
won't.
how this is exactly relevant to the TCG player union conversation. Because
Anyway,
you know what? Professional baseball players unionized.
Okay.
I think the interesting thing I want to see how it goes differently this time is with the eBay purchase of TCG Player. Like, because they have a big financial interest into whether or not, because like if TCG Player unionizes, that affects eBay now and they may feel a lot more heavy-handed into the busting side as opposed to the let's go to a negotiation table, not unionize, but give you some of the things you want from unionizing.
As far as eBay goes, remember that what we heard about months ago was an agreement for eBay to acquire TCG. My understanding that it would finalize at some point in the first quarter of 2020. So I don't know, right, as we podcast today, how that will play out at the table, but you're absolutely right that changes the dynamic.
I found the tweet that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, so on the topic of bustin', because it makes all of us feel good, Code CWA, which is a union tech worker Twitter account that is sort of a news hub for people unionizing in the workspace and collaborating. Breaking news, this is as of the 27th, so a few days ago. Today we filed an unfair labor practice charge against TCG Player eBay for unlawful surveillance of union activity and employee coercion 2 days after a supermajority of workers filed for union representation election with the NLRB. This is the next tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Within the past 2 weeks, multiple TCG Player supervisors and managers, including the CEO, have patrolled the floor of the authentication center, taking note of employees who have worn any clothes or insignia, identifying them as supporters of the TCG union. Rather than engage with workers, TCG Player has once again chosen to take the low road. This conduct constitutes unlawful surveillance of union activity and further creates an impression of surveillance designed to interfere with and coerce employees in the exercise of their rights.
That is a damn.
I will say that I am not particularly surprised based on what I know about certain people who are employed by TCG Player.
Considering TCG Player is the only company that's still doing anything right now.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem.
Maybe we don't want the only place that sells singles at a reasonable price to go out of business. I don't know. Card Kingdom can't possibly do it all by themselves.
Card Kingdom's
really
unionized.
Yeah, Card Kingdom is hanging in there with the. That is fascinating to me because that's not just the workers they want to unionize. The teacher player doesn't want. That's illegal. That's eBay gets taken to court. We'll see what happens. There is a lot to say that. We've seen Card Kingdom unionize. They still exist. I use Card Kingdom. Obviously, we all use TCG Player as well. I guess good luck to the workers. That's all I can really. It's as we've talked about this episode, corporate America. Shit show.
As a seller who sells a significant amount on TCG Player, I would like to say that I support them fully, and that we will put the link in the description to the link to the petition down below in the description, and we would appreciate it if you sign it and support the union.
All right. Well, before we get out of here with Pick of the Week, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Coalesce Design and Apparel, the absolute best place on the internet for all of your Magic gear. You know it. You know it's true. You've seen the shirts. You've seen the hoodies. You've seen our new Brainstorm Brewery shirt with Cass on it. It's right there on the homepage of Coalesce. Go check it out. Use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery. Get you 10% off.
Get a sticker.
Get a sticker. You know what? You can get BSB gear. You can get Casual Magic gear. You can get EDH Rec gear. You can use the EDH Rec collection. You can... Ristic Studies. Look, the list, the content creators keeps growing. The company is doing better and better in terms of what it offers. Go check them out.
If you go to coalesceapparel.shop, which you shouldn't do, you should use our link instead. Don't type the URL like an animal. Don't waste those precious strokes on your keyboard. But if you happen to end up on the homepage and not our page, the first shirt on there is the brand new Elish Norn one that just says "Obey." And you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe you should just relax, just get into that submissive mindset, and just just do a commerce or a capitalism for us. Just like,
DJ found his favorite shirt.
Listen, if a shirt's like $30 and you're getting 15% off, you only need to spend $200 to get a free shirt.
It's 10. I don't want to rain on your parade, but it is 10.
10% off? Fine. Spend $300.
Even cheaper. What is he, this fact checker? What the hell, dude?
I like how DJ's worried about somebody with $200 worth of in their card. And be like, oh, it's 10%?
I don't need all these stickers. But go check out Coalesce.
Brewery boys.
Think about how many Teslas you can vandalize with that many stickers.
Oh my gosh!
Why are we vandalizing Teslas? Those people have to watch a YouTube video to get out while it's on fire. That's not who we should be with. We should be with people with truck nuts.
Except those people generally have guns.
I saw an evolution. I saw a chart that was an evolution of the F-150. And like 50 years ago, when they first came out the F-150, it was like 75% truck bed. And now it's like 25% truck bed.
It was 3366 basically.
Sure.
And now it's like 20% truck bed if that.
Yeah, because they
people
realize
don't haul the shit anyway.
They
It's
don't
just
do
like,
anything. Yes, it's a status symbol. They don't actually use it for any trucking.
Hey, here at Ford, we used an acoustics engineer to make the cab big enough to record an angry video about how your stepson uses different pronouns. The sun won't glare off of your sunglasses while you're holding an iPhone backwards and recording yourself in your truck.
Yep. And
I will say this about Coalesce Apparel, though, before we move on. This is like, if you're a patron and you're getting this podcast early, it is the very last chance to get first editions of the new merch coming out. So these,
I think you mean reserved list.
Reserve list.
Also, it would help us out if you would pre-order the EDH Rec stuff, because that stuff is not pre-selling for some reason, because I think people just want stuff. But hey, I'm telling you, it'll be fine. If you pre-order, you'll get the shirt. So consider supporting EDH Rec.
Remember Elish Norn and just obey. Just
obey.
Just do a commerce.
Do a commerce. Well, if you are interested in doing more commerce, we have Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, my pick of the week is kind of an expensive one, and it feels very Secret Lairable, but I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Thassa's Oracle has just continuously gone up over time. It peaked at around 15.
Having a moment.
It peaked at around 15, then it came back down to 8 or 9. But it's back up to 15, and I don't know if it stops without a reprint. This card is so popular. It's so power crept too, and that it's really hard to see how it will be replaced in the future and what it does. Laboratory Maniac held that job for almost 10 years, and now he's out. He's in the bin. He's out the door. Thassa's Oracle is like 14 or 15. It's a pretty big buy, and it's not something I suggest buying a brick of. There are different kinds of picks of the week. Some you buy bricks of, some you just get a playset of. This is just more of like a keep an eye on it pick. It is a cheaper card in Europe generally because it is a CEDH card. It's more of a commander card. It's more of a casual card. It's not a modern card, that's for sure. It's not modern or pioneer anymore, so Europe doesn't really want it. Buy him here. Or buy him there, sell him here.
All right, I'll follow that up with a card that I didn't realize had actually fallen. I mean, last time I looked at Journey to Eternity last year, it was on its way to $10. I thought for sure. Since then, it actually kind of crept back down to about $6, and it's now back up $6. Journey to Eternity. I like the way the graph looks. It's going through basically if you look at it, it's got one spike, levels off. We're kind of getting to where we're going to start a new climb up. And Journey to Eternity is a 3-mana enchantment from Rivals of Ixalan. When an enchanted creature dies, return to battlefield under your control, then flip your Journey to Eternity into a land that can also reanimate things. Very, very powerful card. I haven't seen the correct stats on it, but I know that this card is just extremely good, extremely appealing. Of course, courtesy of MTG. Generous sponsor of this podcast, but I'm looking at Journey to Eternity on there and liking it.
It's very rare that we see a card where TCGPlayer and Card Kingdom are the same price, and this is one of them. They're both around 6, and Card Kingdom's out of stock. So I would not be surprised if when Card Kingdom gets them back in stock, they sell them at 8 or 9, and then Card Kingdom continues to sell them because they're CK, and then people trade in towards them, and then they're 10. I will say that we talk about reprintability a lot and how that's changed over the past decade. Double-faced cards are still in a weird spot where they do need a special kind of sheet printed to accommodate them.
Yeah. And it has to be said that we are returning, this is why I was looking this up earlier, so we're returning to Ixalan. I don't remember if it's later this year, it's the first of 2024 or whatever. But within the next year, we're going back to Ixalan. So, I suspect, obviously, the tribes will be similar. I imagine we're going to get Transform Lands again.
Corbin,
I think they were pretty popular.
That's some copium right there.
About the tribes?
Yeah.
We'll see. There's got to be more folk on the plains.
They'll be on the plane.
It's going to happen.
They'll just be a little metallic.
Oh,
Ooh, yeah.
No, not after Endgame. I'm sorry, I mean March of the Machine. It'll be fun. I think that there's going to be some stuff to look at in Ixalan. It's over the next 6 months. That's why I was looking at the set, and that's why I like Journey. Jason, what are you looking at?
Deep Known Terramancer. It's already in 23,000 decks. I bet it is in more later. It's like the best so far of the white can't ramp spells. They're gonna do one of these in every set. Every time I say buy this, they print a better card. But Deep Known Terramancer is from Baldur's Gate, which is a very, very good set with a lot of other stuff taking up the value. So there's no pressure on Deep Known Terramancer to ever have to take the weight of the set, which means the card is just free to just be a real card with a real price. And I think that real price is going to be $10 on Card Kingdom in a year and a half or so, if this doesn't get reprinted or made obsolete.
It is.
I can't imagine a better version of this, though.
This is another one that seems like it's hard to reprint, specifically because Gnome Wizard with D&D tie-ins, maybe.
Yeah.
I will say I lost a lot of money on this card because it was an export card for a while to Europe, and then suddenly it kept crashing, and I lost money on them. But I keep thinking it can't go any lower, and it has. I think it's finally reached the point where I think it can't go lower. It is $4
I thought
now.
Ignoble Hierarch couldn't go below 5, and now it's 250. So
Yeah.
I'm applying a lot of 2015 MTG finance logic to 2023, which is a year where the person in charge was in charge of the Xbox Live raising their price fiasco and fulfillment by Amazon. So I don't know, man. I don't really have any faith in Hasbro to continue to do things that makes any of my 10 years of MTG finance experience worth anything at all. Oh, and it's 12 years at this point. Shit.
Ain't that the truth, though?
I should have gotten some other skills. I don't know, because Deep Gnome Terramancer is in half as many decks as Welcome Vampire, who has the same price, but I'm thinking Deep Gnome Terramancer has a higher ceiling because of fewer printings.
I like Deep Gnome Terramancer a lot as well. I remember this card getting printed, and I had forgotten about it until you just did it. This card's lit, right? This is was it Keeper of the Accord, the 4-drop, when they started playing it?
There was one before that. It was a Falcon or something like that.
Yeah, from
and then Keeper of the Accord, and then
Yeah, Deep Gnome Terramancer seems like a pretty good version of that. I'm not gonna lie.
It seems like the best version they have so far, and I don't think they're going to push it further.
I wouldn't say that. However, you are right. It is. I think it's. I'm having flash and just immediately get. All right, JJ, this is your big chance. Your guest spot on the show. You have the opportunity to make all of our listeners who've gone to patreon.com/BSB listen to the cast early. You're going to make them money. And for everyone else listening on youtube.com, Brewery, you can make your money a few days later. AJ, no pressure. What's your pick of the week?
Yeah, so as sad as this is going to sound with all that hype leading into it, I think, this weekend is the Phyrexian All Will Be One pre-release, which means Brothers War is even more in the rearview mirror.
Oh, brand new set.
And with that, I think that a card that I have seen multiple people crack open in Brothers War as largely not that playable, but yet get really excited about the idea of putting in their commander deck is Diabolic Intent.
Okay.
A lot of people, I think, are being introduced to this card through Brothers War. And I think that, like, all the Brothers War stuff, if there are things that you were super interested in, this is probably the bottom on them at this point. And it's if you're wanting to pick them up or avoid and things like that, now's the moment. But Diabolic Intent specifically, I think, is primed to go back up because it's a super playable tutor. It's a sack outlet. It's and for a lot of people for a very long time, this card was just not really something they were going to bother spending extra money on. But when you put it at $8, okay,
yeah,
maybe I'll go buy one now.
Yeah, even I'm looking at the Battle Bond, up until this year, or yes, that was still a 30.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certainly
it was a
pedigree.
scarcity thing though, for sure.
Yeah.
I think so too, but
But
obviously
this has
with the
got
plane
a battle
shift one,
bond and I don't know. It was a set that came out in the last 3 months. I don't know any of the names of them. This is Brothers War, right?
Brothers
So
War, yeah.
That's a lot of copies.
It is, but I do think it is a CEDH staple, and it's a card that it gets closer to just being Demonic Tutor every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to.
Sometimes Demonic Tutor with upside.
Yeah.
Because you want to kill the thing. Yeah. So.
Fair enough, JJ. I think that one lived up to the hype. Okay, that was not. We passed this one.
You're not the judge of this.
I'm the
Time
judge
will be the judge
yeah,
of
Passed
this.
with me.
We'll revisit
He
this.
passed the
in 6
vibe
months.
check over here.
Pass the vibe check.
Yeah.
All picks of the week need to be based on vibes alone.
How I do them? What do
Can
you
we
do?
add a new column to the spreadsheet? It's just
Does it
vibe
pass the
check.
vibe check? Let's pass the vibe check.
Our picks do have different vibes.
They do.
Sometimes
Sure.
the vibe is like, I feel good about this. Sometimes the vibe is like, well, it's in a bunch of new decks. And sometimes the vibe is like, they said Mark Rosewater said soldier on Tumblr. So
Yep.
Those are my favorite vibes.
Well, those are usually the best.
well, there's a Minotaur spoiled. So buy your fucking didgeridoos for the 54th time.
Dude, the gift that keeps on
one
giving,
day-
baby.
One
You know how
day,
much money I have made buying and selling the same copies of Teferi's Puzzle Box back and forth to Card Kingdom? It's been beautiful.
Didgeridoos.
the big one for me is that I just keep hoarding is Arcanum Wings and Academy Researchers are two blue cards that care about auras specifically. And so one day they're gonna print like a colossal flication thing, but power crept to oblivion, and I'm gonna make so much money off of the aura swap mechanic.
You might. I'm not going to say you're not.
You're really counting on the ability of people to know cards older than 2 years, which they do not.
I'm also just.
That's why other people need to tell them about it, though. Like that's Jimmy.
look,
That's,
You think anybody listen? If people listened to people who weren't Saffron Olive, then Helm of Possession would be $400.
But
I
Aura Swap
trust
is
in game nights.
exactly.
I trust in game nights.
What more could you want than Colossification? It's plus 20, plus 20.
I'm
Trample.
Keyword soup. I was gonna say like hexproof flying haste. Maybe I don't know. Like
Intimidate.
Intimidate. I'm like,
Toxic.
It has trample
toxic.
and
Yes,
fear.
toxic. I'd like to put toxic 12 on my creature. I'm going to build that commander deck, and it's going to be fun. JJ has an effect.
Yeah, and there's a reason people. I will tell you firsthand. People underestimate how hard it is to win a game of Commander while playing an infect deck. It is
It's easy to
very
kill one
easy,
person.
or it is relatively easy to knock somebody out of a game, but it is very difficult to knock 3 people out of a game.
But that's why this is cool, because it's not just about play an infect creature, play a pump spell, and one-shot somebody, and then try to do it 2 more times. This corrupted mechanic gives you value for just incrementally poisoning people along the way, playing a normal game of Commander, and proliferating them.
Yeah.
But the
until
problem
they
is that
all
like a normal
target
game
you.
of Commander for you involves like a 10-minute like pause timer while you take your turn. Like that's the issue, right?
And the like real strength to it is it's black, so you get to play Skullstorm.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
That card's banned in my play group. It should be
That
banned
card
in
was
other
banned in my
groups.
play group in 2017. I have
Literally
so
makes-
many worse. Like, if you're going to go that far back for a take from me, there has to be so much better than Skullstorm.
Link the video.
It's the funniest
Link
though.
the-
Future JJ,
That's you.
link the
That's
video.
you. Great. Future JJ, mark this list off our guest. Guest offer. You know what I meant. Anyway, thank you, JJ. No, obviously.
Yeah, anytime. Well, thank you for having me.
We want to give, you do the hard work in the background. We want to give you a shout out. Where can people find you across the internet if they want to do?
Well, you can see my Twitter handle below, Jackson87. And then if you find me anywhere else on the internet, then you can send me a message, but maybe don't.
Good advice. Good advice. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us here on Brainstorm Brewery. It was a good episode. It was good to have Jason back. It was good to have JJ here. And you know what? It was good to win Breaking Bowl yet again.